What's up, guys? In this video, I'm breaking down for value gaps. I'm showing you exactly how they appear and play out on live charts. We're going to walk through some examples first, then we're going to get to that so you can see how these imbalances form and how price interacts with them and actually what they mean in market structure. The goal is simple for this video: understand fair value gaps in a practical, usable way. Let's get into the charts. Oh, and this is part of a 5-part series, which I'm going to do, of the essentials you need for ICT concepts to trade well. All right, let's get into it. We're going to start off pretty clear. The definition of fair value gap: it is a 3-candle formation leaving a gap between the first and third candle that price will possibly retrace or run through. So I'm going to give you some visual examples. There's 2 types of fair value gaps, and there's 2 types of fair value gaps within those fair value gaps. So you need to understand these. One is the bearish fair value gap. When price is strongly going downwards, we have this 3-candle formation. Since price wants to go to whatever level is below it so quick, we open this imbalance and we never come back up because price wants to go lower. So it leaves this gap between the candles. And it's the wick of the first candle to the other wick of the third candle, and it leaves this gap, and then you mark this out. Another one is the bullish fair value gap. It's basically the opposite of the other one. It's when price is going up, we leave an imbalance, price structure, and we have the wick right here and another wick right here, and this leaves a gap. All right, now we are on to the 2 different types of fair value gaps within both of those. So 2 things can happen to a fair value gap. It can be respected, which means price goes back into the fair value gap and continues in the direction in which it was already going, or price runs through that, and we can use that as an indicator that price is going to go the opposite way. So a respected fair value gap, bearish fair value gap, this is an example of it. It's when obviously you can see this looks very similar to this, but then price comes back into the fair value gap. Notice the wick, you mark it out. Okay, and then price either possibly hits a level and we want to retrace. Maybe there's some liquidity in here and we want to retrace to this fair value gap. And once we start to see like displacement of some sort or a move lower, you can see that the fair value gap is going to get respected because price isn't breaking through this. Price started to slow down right here, and then eventually we got this downward candle. Now the opposite of this is when, say, we come back to a fair value gap, but we displace through it. So the candle closes above it. Notice, no close above this, close above this. This means price most likely wants to go higher. See, similar, but then price runs through this. So it's called an inverse fair value gap. The fair value gap is being inverted because it's not continuing in the direction that the market was already going. So now this is an indicator that maybe we want to go higher. Maybe price wants to bounce off this and bounce and go higher. That's also another thing that fair value gaps are used for. They're used for places in which you may want to enter as a support. So you can see this fair value gap gets ran through, and then the market actually comes back to the inverse fair value gap, which happens a lot of times. And then we can consolidate in this range, and then we most likely end up going higher. So they can be used 2 times. There's 2 signals. So you know when this closes above it that you're most likely bullish, or when it comes back to it, you might want to take longs, but yep. And then now we're gonna look at the bullish value gap. It's pretty much the same thing, but just opposite. This is when it gets respected. Price pulls back to it, goes higher. Notice it did not close below it. This is the wick. If you have a wick under for value gap, that doesn't matter. It just needs to close above the for value gap. And then this is a bullish one being ran through. You can see price would maybe have come down to here, and then you may have wanted to see it get respected, but then we just displaced this. All right, now I'm going to show you a model with a fair value gap. So right here, you can see we put in an SMT, which manipulation. We mostly use fair value gaps as not the definite entry, but a piece of the puzzle to be able to enter. So fair value gap, bearish fair value gap gets ran through when we manipulate. And notice when it's not, it doesn't go up when we don't manipulate. Up here, we didn't manipulate because we're still going lower and nothing's been ran through. So we see this get ran through, market structure shift get ran through, and then in this example, we do not pull back. And sometimes you won't pull back to it, and that's just something that you have to learn over time. But it is important. But you can see we made another value gap here, didn't retrace to it, and yes. Yeah. And then this is a bearish example. See, manipulated, and then price runs through the fair value gap, and then retraces to it and respects it. Because it doesn't run through it, it respects it. And then we continue lower. Mainly we use fair value gaps as out of conviction, like I was just saying, to a model not seeming to come back to for an entry. But in some cases you may use them as an entry if you missed an entry on the initial place you wanted to enter, or if you were waiting for a higher time frame for a gap to enter in a model within that. So kind of that, what is it? Like the model within a model type of stuff. But for value gaps, FVGs represent price inefficiencies created by institutional order flow. They mark areas of imbalance where liquidity was skipped, making them high probability zones for price retracement. Paired with other concepts, traders use fair value gaps to identify points of institutional interest, refine entries, and align with market structure and liquidity flow. So now let's get into some examples with the charts. All right, here's an example of a bullish value gap getting ran through. So, and this is the opposite of a bearish value gap getting run through, and yeah, I'll show you this. So, you looking, price manipulates, so we took liquidity, place in which we may want to reject. And now notice how I'm not using the fair value gap as a entry, more of just a way to predict where price is going to go. So fair value gap gets ran through, price stops going higher, and we close below this. And then consolidate, and price comes back to this. And look at, here's a fair value gap, a bullish one, that we come back to, and we hesitate because we're in between two fair value gaps, so price doesn't know where to go. But eventually we come back to this and displace lower and close below the change in the state. And then we eventually see lower. That's a very dumbed down example of it, but it works. here's an example of it, of price is just going up, and it's a continuation retracement. So bullish rally gap gets opened, price goes higher, but then maybe, oh look, let's go down a time frame. Oh no, where am I? Okay. Price taps a 1 hour for rally gap. But look at this bullish rally gap within this range still has effect on this, and it's kind of like it's just a constant exchange of rally gaps. Look at this one, gets ran through, comes back to this one, see, and then come back up this place, and then we come back to this rally gap right here. This, hold on. I don't know, where am I? Okay. And then we respect it and we go higher. So that's an example of a bullish respected rally gap. And this is a bearish inverse rally gap. And this is a bearish inverse rally gap. And this is a bearish rally gap, because we didn't come back to it. But I guess you could say it did get respected right here. But then we continue higher. Here's an example where I would use this possibly for an entry. So notice we manipulated and we came back into this rally gap. Now, I know you're going to say this, but Kali, we closed below this rally gap. And the reason why we didn't continue lower is because if this candle were to go this way and maybe close below this wick right here, then I would be bearish. But since this candle is bullish and we didn't continue to be bearish, I'm not going to be bearish. But manipulation, fair value gap, changing the state, and look at, we open another bullish fair value gap right here. And something cool about fair value gaps is you can actually use them as a place to put your stop. And I put my stop right here because if I put it right here, I would have really bad risk. But you can have really good risk with fair value gaps. I bet we ran through one. Look at, even ran through a fair value gap to indicate that we are flipping biases and we're going to go higher now. So that's just one way that you could possibly use this as an entry. But all the topics I talk about in this video are all ways you can use fair value gaps as an entry. And I recommend not to use these as just fair value gaps as an entry. I would recommend pairing them with other concepts. I'm going to make concepts videos on other concepts in the next month. So you'll see some more videos from me. And I'm excited to make content for you guys. So I hope this helped you understand fair value gaps better. And yeah, have a nice day and peace out.